Alright guys, this is a video for Lihivum. He's going to be the fourth boss that we killed. It's a two-phase fight. He swaps to phase 2 whenever it reaches 100 energy. That's a passive thing. I think it goes off about every minute and 40 seconds. As of current testing is going on. So, what what do we have to do here? Well, the main mechanics here in my eyes are the unstable motes in phase 1 and the ads that we have to deal with in phase 2. So I'm just going to start out with phase 1 for right now. The unstable motes, which are the bombs, will spawn on several players. As of current testing, it looks like you could hard stack, meaning that we have, all these players right here, right? They're positioned in a way to they're positioned in a way to where they hard stack. They're all on top of each other. There's like real no breathing room, it's and then, let's say melee has it. So they're all stacked up. They go to X. After 4 seconds, the bombs spawn. There's a short grace period to where you don't proc the bomb. So as soon as the bombs spawn, ranged group is going to go over to orange. Melee, you could go back to melee. Do your thing. But the ranged group will go to orange. What's going to happen here is that the active tank and a random player will get a debuff called Deconstructing Energy. It's a dot that lasts for 6 seconds. After it expires, it deals damage to all players around them and destroying any inactive unstable motes. What I mean by inactive unstable motes is that they haven't the bombs haven't been procced yet. The way you proc them is by walking over them. It deals damage and creates a damaging zone that lasts the entire fight. So the reasoning, that we need to stack them up so tightly is so that we can get, let's say this tank over here and this range player over here. They both have the debuff, Deconstructing Energy. I think it'd be safe to say that the tank can kind of just stay in melee, but spread out from the other tank, while this ranged person stays over here, and his little radius is going to be large enough to where he destroys any of the inactive bombs because of the Deconstructing Energy debuff that he has, right? So after 6 seconds, it expires, it deals damage, it destroys the bombs that are already on X, and he goes to meet back up with his group. We gotta just imagine that these guys are all stacked. I just don't want to move them out individually every time, right? So these are theoretically all still stacked up on top of each other. Now, you just ping-pong this between these two areas while positioned probably around here, until, more mechanics come out or phase 2 happens. There's really not a whole lot that needs to happen in phase 1. Especially for melee DPS. You guys are probably pretty fine. Just the occasional move over to one of these markers that's getting called out. Now, I will say that something that everyone needs to watch out for is the Cosmic Shift ability. It's a raid-wide knockback. It deals damage. The thing that you have to worry about is your positioning on this one. If you get knocked back, then let's say this is a bomb, right? If you get knocked back into a bomb, you're going to activate it, causing it to trigger. We now have an effect on the floor that's going to last the entire fight that deals damage to you if you're in it. So just try to make sure that when you're inevitably going to be knocked back, you don't hit yourself into any of the bombs. Ideally, they should be cleared by then, but I do not know the timings. So there's probably not going to be enough bombs cleared to make this entire floor, you know, completely clear. So that's what we're going to be dealing with phase 1. The tanks will have to deal with something else called, what is it? Resonance, that's right. Think of it very similarly as the, what is it? The Guardian of the first ones. That fight in Sanctum Domination where the tanks had to tank this ability, have the, you know, stack with the group, have the other tank, and then stack with the group. It's almost a similar mechanic, except you're not stacking with the group. So it's either like an ABA or a BAB sequence. Now, what I mean by that is, let's say A is the Sundering Resonance part. So, tank 1 over here, right? It's an ABA sequence. So, Lihivum starts casting Sundering Resonance. This guy's going to take it. It deals heavy cosmic damage and applies a physical vulnerability. Now, immediately afterwards, Lihivum's going to cast the B sequence ability, which is Kinetic Resonance, where it's going to deal heavy physical damage and apply a cosmic vulnerability. Now, Tank A is going to quickly taunt back so he could get the Sundering Resonance that deals the cosmic damage and applies the physical vulnerability. Wherein, probably lastly, Tank B is going to retaunt because he has the physical vulnerability, and if he gets hit by melee attacks, he's going to get, you know, smacked. The damage doesn't split, and it strikes all players within 12 yards. So, again, the tanks should probably be positioned in this kind of a manner where they're on each side of him for that. Tanks, you definitely want to use defenses on this. There's not really a whole lot of impending threat damage during phase 1. Or even phase 2, I believe. So, save your cooldowns for the Resonance. That's your tank swap mechanic. If you don't die on that, you should be good for the rest of the fight. Oh yeah, there's another mechanic that I'm not worrying too much about right now, but we'll see how it goes throughout the fight. It's called Protoform Cascade. The easiest way that I know how to deal with this is by having this this boss facing the wall right where I have him positioned, right? So it is a frontal cone that targets the active tank. It looks like it's either like a 1.5 or a 2-second cast time. From the looks of it, I think the tank can, if he's paying enough attention and has enough movement, can walk out of this effect. So, you know, doesn't have to get hit by it. Either way, only one of the tanks should get hit by it, since it's only targeting the active tank, and you guys are both spread out on, you know, opposite sides of them. That's it. That should eliminate the need for the DPS or the healers to even worry about this mechanic. So tanks, again, that's all you. Sorry, but thank you at the same time. Now, that's phase 1. Phase 2 will cause Lihivum to, I think he comes to the middle at 100% energy. He becomes inactive and starts summoning ads. These ads will start to become vulnerable for 15 seconds, and they'll have like a little platform shield around them. Right here. They'll all spawn right over here, right where I have all these names at. So, what to do in this phase? Kill ads, right? So, I'm thinking that this might be a good time to use some raid-wide cooldowns like Tranquility or Power Word Salvation, because Lihivum's gonna start dealing ramping cosmic damage over these 15 seconds. Being inside of these circles will help mitigate the damage by 90%. Yeah, it's going to start mitigating that damage by 90%. So I'm not entirely sure how much or how many cooldowns we need, if we need any, you know, because we're going to be probably standing inside of here. These ads will spawn. From what I have watched, they spawn in different areas every time. So let's say phase 1, right? Or not phase 1, but the first time we reach phase 2. We want to kill acquisitions and degeneration. And then these two spawn. They are active, which means they now use their abilities. And we deal with those, and then we go back to Lihivum. And then the phases start all over again, right? Let's say the second time we reach phase 2, we have, I don't know, maybe something like this. I don't know the patterns, if there are patterns, or if it's just RNG on where these ads spawn. So I have my little cheat sheet on which ads should be killed first. I absolutely despise acquisitions. I think he's very disruptive and a pain in the ass to deal with. So in the initial 15 seconds, we'll kill acquisitions first. And we'll have two groups, right? I should have mentioned that earlier. We'll have two groups from the get-go. Group 1 go to this area. Group 2 go to this area, right? Odds go here, evens go there. So acquisitions will be one of the two that I think is always priority. As well as degeneration would be the second priority. I'm not sure if it's... Here's why I'm saying I'm not sure. I don't know if it's feasible to be over here, right? Have acquisitions, because this room is a very big room, right? Very, very large room. Let's say portal goes here, from here to here, right? So phase 2 starts. We have acquisitions over here and degeneration over here. Well, that's priority number 1. That's priority number 2. So we have group 1 come over here, kill this one. We have group 2 try their darndest to come over here and kill this one. I think it's reasonable. I think it's feasible. But I mean, like, what if it was this way instead? I don't know. We might need a quick relock gate to where they could go over here and over here. So maybe it is smart to have melee as one group and ranged as another group, in the chance that we have something as spread out as this, right? So that's my thought process on the ads. Now, let me tell you what the ads actually do. We have the Defense Matrix Automa, which really simply just channels a shield around himself, reducing damage that the ads take by 50%. He's not really disruptive. You could just move the other ads outside of the shield. I think he's probably the easiest to deal with. The Acquisitions Automa, like I said, I think this one's the pain in the ass. I don't know. It probably can't, but I don't know if it could be CC'd or slowed. So what it does is it fixates a random player. It deals light ticking damage to the raid every 5 seconds. It stacks though, so if it's up for too long, then it's going to start, you know, dealing an obscene amount of damage, and it's just really annoying. The thing that I hate the most, I think, about it is that when it dies, it knocks every player away within a 40-yard radius. That messes up positioning, it messes up DPS, it could potentially kill someone because a healer isn't close to him anymore, and it could cause us, you know, to get knocked into bombs. So I think Acquisitions is by far the most disruptive, and I hate him for it. The Guardian ad, he'll start frequently summoning unattackable sentry ads that circle around and damage players. Again, very similar to the Guardians of the first ones. You probably didn't even notice them because they got destroyed whenever the Guardian went to the next core, though. So these guys, to my knowledge, last forever. I could be wrong on that one. The Degeneration one, I initially thought that this guy wasn't too big of a deal, but then I started watching videos, and then I saw multiple Degeneration Automa start spawning. Now, if it was one Degeneration Automa that channeled one beam on a player, I don't think that's difficult to deal with. But when there's like 6 of them, that becomes an issue. And that's all the mechanics to the fight. It just repeats over and over and over again until the boss dies. So, some of my takeaways from this, right, is Phase 1. Bounce between X and orange for whenever the bombs go off or despawn or the debuff falls, right? You guys know what I mean. Make it close enough to where the melee don't have to go out of their way to reach the group if they have the debuff on them. They only want to spend maybe 3... Well, no, they only have 4 seconds. So, at max, let's give them like 2 seconds to get over here. So that's why we need it to be close. We're not going to be utilizing the 40-yard range that the ranged players have here. Like I said, it doesn't look like there is... It doesn't look like there's a set order as of this moment. I'm sure if we go through it over and over and again, then we'll start seeing patterns. But as of right now, just be worried about, or just be careful about what the raid leader says. If raid, just even again here. Let's put some more markers down because everyone loves those. So, if Acquisitions is here and Degeneration is here, then raid leader can say, hey, group 1, melee group, go to blue. And then group 2, range group, go to moon. Then boom, we already have it set. Now, let's say the second time we get over here, we could do something like this, right? Or here, just really mix it up a little bit. Raid lead says, melee group, go to moon. Range group, go to purple. Just really try to hammer it in there. That's about all the information I have as far as this fight is concerned. It looks like these mechanics happen pretty frequently and pretty fast, so it can be quite a hectic fight. I think most of our positions will be based upon where the ads are telegraphed. I think that's another thing that I failed to mention. I apologize, but from what I've seen, there will be inactive ads all around, and it'll show you which one is which. So we'll say from the get-go, while we're still in phase 1, we see that this is the order. Raid lead says, all right, phase 2 is coming up in 30 seconds, or X amount of time. Group 1 will go to moon, group 2 will go to purple. And then what they do is they'll start moving kind of around the room. The tanks will lead this guy around the room, and we'll follow suit. We'll probably do like a little half-seas here, right? Because that makes sense. Maybe lean it a little closer to melee because they don't have 40-yard range. And then you guys can split it up like so, right? And then we see that Acquisitions over here now. Then raid lead says, Group 1 needs to go to purple, and range needs to go to star. So now the tanks do another little walk, and I think it would be ideal to call it early, really early, because like I said, this room is very large. It's going to take a while to get from, while still DPSing and healing and shit like that, it's going to take a while to go from point A to point B to point C, all the way back to point D. So, all right. I think that's legitimately all of my thoughts on this boss right now. Thanks for watching. Hope it helped.